Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a Friday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How you doing today on this Friday?
I'm great. I'm looking forward to tonight's show. Got some tough picks this week. I had a hard time with these picks. Not so sure, but we'll debate them. See.
Well, I didn't have that difficult of a time, and you'll see. I think it's safe to say we don't really. I mean, we are going to, but we really don't need to do separate picks because probably 95% of our picks are literally exactly the same.
Really?
Yeah,
because I picked a lot of upsets this week. I picked some upsets.
You got a couple in there. Not mostly, no. You have a lot of point spread shifts, but we'll get into that later on in the show.
No.
I've said this before in the past. I think Amazon needs to revolt against the NFL. How many bad Thursday night games are we going to get over this, $4 billion deal the NFL had with Amazon? I mean, even Ryan Fitzpatrick brought it up. The 12-9 overtime game Broncos-Colts a couple years ago with Matt Ryan and Russell Wilson. This was very reminiscent of that.
Maybe they should call
that.
it the penalty game. Every Thursday night, there's all these penalties.
Yeah, no.
Last night, 11 penalties on Broncos.
Well, each team actually had 11 penalties as well.
Yeah.
We'll get into all of that, as well as Kyler Murray bench. We've spoken about Kyler Murray now. This is 2025. Last time we really went into detail about this, I went back 2023. So we've talked about this exact kind of situation, and I'm basically going to be repeating myself of what I said 2023. So we'll get into all of that.
I forgot what you said back then.
Oh, I'll remind you. Yeah, we got all of that. Week 10 picks as well. But let's jump into our first topic of today's show, which is indeed last night's game, because I can't even call it a thriller. I'm going to call it a snooze fest because it was penalties and terrible offensive play. However, the Broncos did extend their winning streak to 7 consecutive games on Thursday with a relatively ugly 10-7 win over the Las Vegas Raiders, and they improve to 8-2, the first team this season to get to 8 wins and continue extend their lead in the AFC West. Geno Smith had an interception. Bo Nix had 2. Geno was banged up. Kenny Pickett, we saw a tiny bit of him. But Geno, he powered through the game. So commendable. But ultimately, this was special teams was wrong. Defenses were great. Offenses were atrocious. So overall, I want to know, what was your main takeaway from last night's game?
My main takeaway, the Broncos defense beat up Geno and treated him roughly. Their 10-7 win proves they perfected the art of winning ugly. Poor Geno, he got hit 6 sacks. 6 sacks in this game. But the Broncos, now 8-2, have the best record in the NFL, but it won't last if they can't find a way to score more points. They start slow. Last night, 6 yards on the first 6 snaps, 1 yard per play. Trailed 7-0 after Giante's 4-yard TD run. It took them 5 possessions to score with a Knicks TD pass to Franklin of 11 yards. The only other score was a field goal by the Broncos that was set up by a blocked field goal by J.L. Skinner. It hit him in his helmet.
Right in the face, yeah.
Pretty interesting. The Raiders had their chances and could have tied it late, but Carlson, 48-yarder, went wide right. He's had it tough, man. His game-winning field goal against the Bears was blocked in Week 4, and he missed an extra point that would have tied the game against the Jags last week. So, poor Raiders, they've had it tough. And Geno, in particular, as I mentioned, sacked 6 times by the Broncos defense, which is the reason they've won all these close games. I think the Broncos are the big reason. The Broncos had 11 penalties, as I mentioned, and only 10 first downs. 7 3-and-outs on 13 drives. They were booing Bo Nix. He says, I've been booed before. They'll boo me again. Denver's defense didn't allow a first down over 7 straight Raiders drives and had a turnover on downs, an interception, and a blocked punt. So I think the Broncos defense is the key here. And they've got to find a way to get their offense going because it'll be interesting to watch that game against Kansas City next week. That's an offense that should be able to do something against the Broncos defense.
Well, I think, yeah, the only reason why, and we saw this actually the last 2 weeks, the only reason why the Broncos were able to extend their winning streak is because of this defense. The offense is terrible. Bo Nix, he's had his ups and downs, and really we see him in the fourth quarter, and we look at that when he's down 19-0 with, 5-6 minutes left against the Giants, and all of a sudden they score 33 straight points and end up winning that game. I think that was just a fault of Shane Bowen and the Giants defense, and that's what we saw since really that point, just the collapse of the New York Giants defense. It's one of the worst in the NFL. Entering this game, though, the Raiders' defense was terrible. 23rd in points allowed, 19th in total defense, 20th in yards per drive allowed, 20th in first downs allowed, 25th in points per drive allowed, second worst in average time per drive allowed. I mean, 31st in QB pressure. Bo Nix has pressured the most he's ever been so far this season, and we expect this Broncos offensive line. It was number one last year. It was number one coming into this game, and they got absolutely torched by this Raiders defense. I think it's in large part because Bo Nix looks very uncomfortable, and for no reason. They do have a very good offensive line. You had Mercedes Lewis have 2 false start penalties because he was antsy about blocking Max Crosby. I mean, Max Crosby didn't really do much, and they were getting false starts, or at least Mercedes Lewis was. And, actually during the play, obviously, Max Crosby made his presence known on the field, but this was terrible. Fans were booing from the outset, constantly booing. The Broncos didn't get their first down until their 5th drive with 5:51 left in the second quarter. They had, you said 7. I had 8 3-and-outs. By the way, after this game, they now lead the NFL in 3-and-outs. And this is a Sean Payton-led offense. And I think Sean Payton, you see some of his calls. And I'm like, why are you doing check downs on a 3rd and 7 to your fullback, a.k.a. Your third-string tight end? And we saw it in this game. Why are you doing a reverse double pass to, I think it was Cortland Sutton, on a 3rd and 1? Is it because you don't trust Bo Nix? You say you do, but then your game planning and your offensive play calling, well, it says that you really don't. And I think in this game we saw that you really can't trust Bo Nix. He was antsy in the pocket. He didn't step into any throw. As soon as he saw a guy open, he wouldn't set his feet, and he would just launch it. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of one of the major criticisms Mac Jones had in New England. He wouldn't step into any of his throws. He'd be flat-footed, or he'd have antsy feet, happy feet, dance around in the pocket, and then make an erratic throw that normally ended up in the arms of the defense. Now, Bo Nix's turnovers, he had 2 in this game, but ultimately he's not incredibly turnover-prone. He's just very, very inaccurate with the football. And this winning streak that they're on is not due to Bo Nix, not due to Bo Nix whatsoever. It's due to the defense, because Bo Nix during this winning streak, he's been terrible. Sub 60% completion percentage, under 250 total yards per game, 6.2 yards per pass, 16 touchdowns, 5 turnovers. That's not terrible. A pass rating at 86.6. That's average at best, probably even below average in a lot of places. So, yeah, this offense isn't going anywhere, and they have playmakers. They're not supposed to be a top 5, top 8 explosive offense. No, they're supposed to be an effective offense. Think about all the years with Drew Brees and whatnot. Sean Payton's offense relies on getting the ball out to the right guy, kind of a Kyle Shanahan thing, but you need a high completion percentage quarterback. Bo Nix averaging under 60% completion percentage during the 7-game winning streak. I mean, do we think that the Texans would have still lost to the Broncos last week if C.J. Stroud didn't get hurt? There's a question out there. So I think ultimately, no, this offense with leading by Bo Nix, he was pretty good last year, but there's no reason for him to be as pressured as he was in this game. The Raiders' defense is atrocious. We just saw Trevor Lawrence cook this defense, and probably it should have at least been a tie game. It should not have ended in a Jaguars win. If you don't go for 2 in the overtime, you kick the extra point, you probably make it, then it's a 30-30 ball game. Your defense needs to hold up for, 3 minutes left or however long it was left on the clock, which I think you could have done, and then, it ends up in a tie. You tried to, steal a win, and you ended up losing. I think this could be ultimately Geno. He's getting $66 million guaranteed in his extension. Again, you saw him fall off in Seattle. That's why they moved on to Sam Darnold. You gave up a 3rd-round pick to go get him.
I don't know. I didn't think they really wanted to get off Geno. He just wanted too much money.
Well,
they wanted to sign him. He wouldn't sign for what they offered.
Well, what? He's making $66 million guaranteed from the Raiders.
Okay, so he got a better deal from the Raiders. He got a better deal from the Raiders than he was going to get from the Seahawks. He didn't want to sign with them because he was holding out for a better deal, and he didn't get it.
Well, he didn't deserve it because he had one good year where he averaged over 70%.
But they wanted him back. It's not they didn't want to unload on him.
Well, they were happy to get a 3rd-round pick for him. They didn't exactly push for a 2nd round or push for a first round.
They knew what they made their decision to go to Darnold.
Well, first of all, if he's making $30 million a year about on average, how can you say they wanted him? That's not a lot of money. That's Sam Darnold money. They paid Sam Darnold essentially the same. He's making $35 million, and Geno's making $33 per year. I don't think they wanted him. They saw the downfall. We saw the downward turn at the end of his tenure with Seattle. Wow. Then all of a sudden you get Sam Darnold. Now Sam Darnold's number one according to PFF. So clearly they didn't fight for Geno. If you get a third-round pick, look at the two teams now. And you got off DK Metcalf and got off Tyler Lockett. You had JSN.
Tyler Lockett's now with the Raiders.
He's with the Raiders.
Yeah.
I think
Jacoby Myers is gone.
He's gone. He's gone over to Jacksonville. I think ultimately, no. The Broncos.
I don't think Geno's getting much help out there. Look at Brock Bowers last night. Had one reception.
He had 31
targets.
Yards. Yeah, that's on Chip Kelly.
Why didn't they throw it to him?
That's on Chip Kelly. You can't say Geno doesn't have help. No, I mean, he has playmakers.
I don't know. Why didn't they throw it to him more?
I'm not Chip Kelly. I don't know. Ultimately, no. The Broncos, they're not going anywhere if they don't figure out the situation. The first interception Bo Nix had was just a prayer. It was into double coverage with no shot of Troy Franklin.
I don't know what he was thinking about
two
there.
Receivers were in the vicinity. The other one, I think, just moved out of the way, and it bounced off the other receiver's hands, and that was the tipped interception. The one that Geno had wasn't even his fault. Ashton Genty just couldn't catch it. It was right in front of him. He just tipped it up in the air. I think there were several opportunities. I mean, even the punter was performing poorly. He was having balls off the side of his foot and way too short. I mean, there was really nothing. The Raiders ended up firing their special teams coordinator. I don't know if that's the right move. I think you need to fix. There's something called a quarterback. He's not performing well. Genty, your first round pick. He was the 6th overall pick. He can't run. He's averaging, 3 yards a carry, a little bit over that?
He had 60 yards last night.
I mean, he's not been great.
Their defense is pretty good. Raiders' defense is pretty good.
No, it is not. They're 19th in total defense. The only reason why they improved now is
better than last year. Right? Last year they were terrible.
Well, I mean,
they have improved some.
Last year they were 15th in total defense. Entering this game they were 19th, and they moved back up to 15th.
Oh, really?
So they're actually. And here's the thing: the only reason they move up to 15th is because the Broncos don't have an offense. You have 4 straight 3-and-outs. You're getting booed out of the arena essentially. I think right now the Broncos are in danger just because they have a quarterback that they drafted, 9th overall in 2023, 2024. What are you doing? I'm genuinely concerned if Sean Payton has to do dink and dunk offense and that's not working. Bo Nix has happy feet in a relatively clean pocket and he's making these crazy deep throws, which I don't know if it's just antsy. I don't know if it's overconfidence. I don't know if it's a lack of confidence. Because he's making some crazy throws that you'd be like, okay, no, it's the Joe Flacco, but Joe Flacco was an experienced quarterback with talented receivers. Bo Nix has talented receivers, but he's just hauling it out there. The first interception was he wasn't open at all in the route. What are you doing? I think ultimately, no.
The ball wasn't accurate either.
I mean, yeah, he threw it into double coverage. I think it was the Troy Franklin who wasn't open at any point in the route. I have no idea what exactly he was doing. This is not, if they make a playoffs, this is going to be one of the playoff teams where it's like, okay, their defense could win the game. But if you go up against an experienced offense like a Josh Allen, like a Patrick Mahomes.
They're picking against them next week against Kansas City.
Oh, no, I mean, we'll see what the point spread is. I may or may not. Because I think this defense could do something. And Pat Surtain.
Their defense is fantastic.
Their defense is great. I just think, they need to get healthy. The next game is in 23 days.
They're the most sacks in the NFL.
Right. And I think they're on pace to actually break the record that was set by, the Bears a number of years ago, decades ago.
Surtain didn't even play last time.
Right, and that's what's impressive. They're still doing this without the production of the former, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. This is the first time since 1976, second time since 1950, that each team had more penalties than first downs in the game. It was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Seattle Seahawks, each on their first seasons.
It's really hard to watch games that have so many penalties.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because it makes it more about the officiating than it was about the actual players out there making some plays.
Officials take the game away from the players.
But I still think, this was bad football. This is a really bad football. Bo Nix, he's playing erratic. He's playing just ultimately bad football all around. So if they're going to go far, yes, they're 8-2. That's the only, and they're 8-2 and they have a phenomenal defense. But the offense is what really gets you far. Absolutely. Absolutely. Why did the Ravens, having the number one defense, break down, or having the number one defense and a great offense? What happened in the AFC Championship game a couple years ago? Offense shut down. Chiefs won 17-10.
Oh, that's one game.
That is one game, but we're saying number one offense, and they got shut down by the Chiefs because they had a very, very bad scheme. Think about it. The Eagles had a very explosive offense last year and a great defense. the offense, you know what? Okay, so here's why, you're right mostly, but what happens?
Thank you.
What happens if the defense slips up even a little bit?
Oh, for the Broncos, they'll lose.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Your defense has to be.
Your
defense has to be the greatest defense of all time every single week.
They're schemed for perfection. The defense has got to be spot on, or they'll lose because the offense is not going to bail them out at all.
So you have to have the best defense in NFL history that has 46 sacks on the year. And if you slip up a little bit, let's say they don't get that block punt.
Depends. It depends on who they're playing. I mean, they slip up against Kansas City, they're going to lose.
They nearly lost to Davis Mills, and they nearly lost to Geno Smith. So I don't think that's true either. If you nearly lose to Davis Mills...
Well, they didn't.
If you almost do.
The almost doesn't count. They won the game. Winning is everything in the NFL, right?
It's how you win.
No, it isn't. It's winning. It isn't how you win.
Absolutely it is.
Winning ugly is a win.
Vikings went 11-0 in one-score games a couple years ago. Lost to the Giants in the playoff game.
No, the Giants played well in that game, right?
But they're 11-0 one-score games.
Wow.
The Broncos right now, they're doing great. They're winning all these very close games. I have it here. They 18-point fourth quarter to beat the Eagles. They went here we go. 2-point victory over the Jets. 13. They had 9 sacks against Justin Fields. 33-point comeback in the fourth quarter against the Giants. 11-point fourth quarter to beat the Houston Texans. So their offense
can perform.
Only in the fourth quarter.
33 points in the fourth quarter.
It's Tim Tebow of, what was it, what year was it?
Long time ago.
When they played the Patriots, Tebow had a phenomenal fourth quarter that year. I can't even think back how long that was. But the Patriots in the playoff game, they beat the Steelers. The Broncos did with Tebow at quarterback. What year was that?
That was
20.
I don't know, but I remember it.
Yeah, Tebow had a great QBR in the fourth quarter.
Demarius Thomas.
Demarius Thomas was the first play in overtime, I think. Yeah, but that's what I mean. Then they get obliterated by the New England Patriots the following week in the playoffs. It only brings you up to a certain point, and then you need to play complementary football. You always say running game. They need a running game. Teams need a running game, otherwise you lose. If you only have a defense, your offense needs to pick up the slack at some point. Mm-hmm. And if you can't, then you have to have the best defense every single week.
The offense is picking up the slack very late in the game and making it a real nail-biter. They have to have a more balanced approach and try to play better earlier in the game. They're waiting the first 3 quarters of every game. They stink.
Well, it's because they've been dinking and dunking, and Bo Nix has been so inaccurate. They start with 4th straight third and outs. I mean, you got to perform better. You have Sean Payton as your head coach. Yeah, well, you have to be better.
I'm sure they'll be talking to Bo Nix about it this week.
He took accountability. I respect that, but you got to figure it out.
Yeah, he did. He's not backing away from the accountability. He said
there's nothing to back out of. You have to take it. I mean, it's on you. You're the quarterback, as you say. Quarterback hands the ball in every single play. Every single play. All right, let's get into some other news because I teased this on Tuesday. Well, it looks like Kyler Murray, he'll be going to IR with a mid-foot sprain. That's the report. Now, initially, a couple weeks ago, there was reports saying that Kyler Murray is expected to be back after their bye week. Well, their bye week ended last week when Jacoby Brissett was the starting quarterback. And now, after blowing out the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas, now all of a sudden, no, he needs 4 to 8 more weeks. 4 to 8, but yeah. It's probably going to be done for the year, truthfully. But it looks like Jacoby Brissett is the starter because Jonathan Gannon said that even if Kyler Murray was healthy, he was sticking with Jacoby Brissett. But I mean, the eye test, the stats, they all prove it. Jacoby Brissett has operated Jonathan Gannon's offense, just overall the team, the Cardinals' offense, significantly better. Drew Petzing's offense, he's the OC, than Kyler Murray has this season. So I think ultimately it's not looking good for Kyler. I mean, during his tenure with the Cardinals, we've seen so many things go wrong for Kyler Murray. So ultimately, I want to know, what do you think Kyler's future looks like moving forward with the Arizona Cardinals?
Well, he's on IR right now with that lingering sprain in his middle of his foot. He's been out since week 5. He can come back in week 14 if he's healthy. Gannon said Jacoby does his job, takes it one day at a time, prepares when he wasn't the starter, and prepares to be the starter. He knows his role can change, and now he's going to prepare the same way. Murray is in a good place to focus on his rehab. That's what he said. He didn't say that Murray wouldn't play when he came back, and he did say that Murray could be back before the end of the season. In his absence, Murray's absence, they're 1-2. Brissett has thrown 860 yards, 6 TDs, and 1 interception. Murray was 2-3 when he was in there in the first 5 games. 962 yards, 3 TDs, 2 interceptions, and 173 yards rushing. He brings that to the table. It's something Jacoby Brissett really doesn't have. 68.3% completion percentage and 16 sacks. The Cardinals have now missed the playoffs 3 years in a row. Would Murray have come back sooner if Brissett was not playing so well? I don't know. That's a good question. They say he was ready to go after the bye, and suddenly he's back on IR for 4 weeks after Brissett has a sterling performance against the Cowboys. If the Cardinals continue to win with Brissett, will Murray return as a starter? That's to be determined. I think Gannon's going to watch Brissett and see how he plays. If he continues to play great, maybe Murray is out for 8 weeks, and that will be the end of his season. He has 3 years left on his contract with $125 million. That was a 5-year contract for $230.5 million, which is amazing. It's not all guaranteed. There's $40 million guaranteed for 2026 and $19.5 million for 2027 guaranteed if he is on the roster in March of 26. Jacoby Brissett runs the table, plays great the rest of the way. I'd say it's goodbye, Kyler Murray. I don't think he'll be with the team after March of 26. They'll pay him the $40 million, and that's it.
Well, I think ultimately I've been on this now since 2023. No, Kyler should not be the starting quarterback at the Arizona Cardinals, and he did just play his last season, or should have just played his last season with the Cardinals, because he's not a great quarterback. Does he have some features that make him, interesting for some teams that desperately need a quarterback? Sure. But one of the things is his athleticism. And he said, during the Rams playoff game a number of years back, how he just didn't want to run. He didn't want to get hit. Well, if you take away one of your biggest assets is your mobility, well, then all of a sudden, now all you have is your arm. And we saw this season, you weren't a great quarterback. Marvin Harrison was a no-show. And now we're seeing Trey McBride getting a lot more receptions. We're seeing Marvin Harrison explode onto the scene this season. And we're just seeing the offense look significantly better. And in the comparison between you and your backup quarterback, now the starting quarterback that has beaten you out, well, he runs the table against you. He's better than everything. The team scores more. Jacoby Brissett has more total yards per game, more yards per play, a better pass touchdown to interception ratio, a higher passer rating, significantly higher passer rating. And ultimately, here's the biggest one. You want to keep the chains moving, keep pushing the ball. Well, he has a 56.1 third down percentage compared to your 39.7. So Jacoby Brissett has just been a significantly better quarterback than you this season. And to be honest, there's an opportunity that if they trade you after June 1st, they only incur a $10 million cap hit, $10.71 million cap hit, and they save $42 million. Well, that's the way to go. You don't want to release him. You want to trade him, because then you'll actually save money. If you release him, you incur a $47.51 million dead cap, and you only get 5.74 in cap savings. So, yeah, if you're willing to save $42 million on a quarterback that is not beating out a quarterback that you gave a 2-year, $12 million contract to, let Jacoby Brissett be that bridge quarterback. He was fine, actually, when Deshaun Watson was suspended for the first 11 games with Cleveland. He ended up beating the Tom Brady-led Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. I mean, we've seen Jacoby Brissett, even with the Colts, have some success there. Early on in the Patriots had nobody, really. So it was rough, and then Drake May took over 15 touchdowns. Would he have 10 picks? It didn't look great, and now with a better system, better offense, we're seeing what Drake May could look like. But ultimately, Jacoby Brissett is the better quarterback, and you saw it basically instantly. I mean, think about the amount of teams he's nearly beaten. He's nearly beaten the Tennessee Titans. That was just a stupid game all around. The Colts nearly beat the Colts 4 points, and they were driving down to actually win the game. You nearly beat the Green Bay Packers. You dominated the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, to be honest, with Kyler Murray out there, you were down by, 20-6 against the Seahawks, and all of a sudden you pull out and you lose by 3. Now you're going against the Seahawks in Seattle, and I think just with the offense and how they're playing, there's a chance you can at least cover the spread there. There's a shot. We'll see what the picks are. I don't want to give it away quite yet. But think about it. going forward with the schedule, your schedule's not exactly easy. But with, Jacoby Brissett out there, and I want to bring you in now, let's talk about the next 4 games. Because let's say he does come back after 4 games and they don't take him off, or they do take him off IR, so he'll come back. That 5th week is against the Los Angeles Rams in Arizona. So let's go the next 4 weeks. At Seattle.
I don't think they win.
Okay, so let's go with another loss. San Francisco.
I mean, he hasn't beaten the Cardinals haven't beaten Seattle in a long time.
Well, fair. At Seattle, that's a loss. What about San Francisco? Home against San Francisco.
Home against San Francisco depends on how healthy
I'm just assuming Brock Purdy will be back because he's questionable for this week instead.
I don't think they'll win that one.
Okay, so that's 0-2 versus the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I have a good shot against.
Okay, so 1-2, and then at Tampa.
At Tampa, I don't know. I don't think they win that one.
I think so you have them going 1-3. I have them going 2-2 because I do think they'll beat the 49ers and I do think they'll beat the Jaguars. Seattle, I think it'll be actually. Again, I don't want to tease it, but I think there's an opportunity for an upset to happen. Will I take it? You'll see later on in the show. But the way Jacoby Brissett's playing, I mean, think about the losses. Lose by, again, the Tennessee game was just stupid, but lose to 4 in Indy, lose by 4. Lose by 4 to Green Bay. Win by 10 against Dallas.
Oh, their losses are combined by 13 points. I mean, it's ridiculous. I think if he's 1-3 or even 2-2 and Murray's healthy, then Murray's going to get another shot.
I don't think he should, just because you look at who's winning. Who looks better in the offense?
Depends on how Brissett plays in those games then. If he plays like he did in Dallas, then he's going to stay out there for sure.
Here's the thing, though. He didn't play poorly against Green Bay. He didn't play poorly in Indy.
No, he's had a good run here, but they had 1-2.
Right, but okay. Think about these. Look at these numbers. Who's been the better quarterback? I don't even have win-losses on here.
Yeah, well, it's been Brissett so far.
Through and through. And it really hasn't even been that close. You're scoring 5 points more. I mean, think about it. If you just say, okay, they average 25 points per game. Let's take Jacoby Brissett's average. I think they would, let's see. They would beat the Saints. They already beat the Saints, but they'd beat the Saints. They'd beat the Panthers. They'd beat the 49ers. They would beat the Seahawks. They would beat the Titans. They would lose to Indy. They would lose to Green Bay. They would beat Dallas. They would be 6-2 right now if they had Jacoby Brissett's average.
Well, that's a big if. You don't know. It's hard to say.
That's just the math based on.
Jacoby Brissett has been an up and down quarterback in his career, and that's why he's been a backup for the most since he left the Colts.
Well, he's never been
a backup.
He's never been said, you know what, we're moving forward with Brissett. He's always been a bridge quarterback. So has he really had the time to flourish as a starting quarterback? Not when he was with the Colts.
The Colts recruited him to be the starter.
He
was the starter, and he played well for a little bit, and then he fell off considerably, and they went out. They decided to part ways. So, and he played lousy with the Patriots, but again, you say
he was a bridge quarterback.
He didn't have much of a supporting cast there, that's for sure.
Also, I would not say that Colts team was really built to win. I'm looking at it here. The second highest receiver was a tight end, Jack Doyle. Third highest receiver was Dante Moncrief. Fourth was Chester Rogers. Guess who their running back 1 was? Frank Gore.
Well,
a 34-year-old Frank Gore.
Yeah.
I would not say that Colts team was necessarily built to win there.
No. Well, he looks good so far. We'll see what happens.
And if I'm not mistaken, was that? Yeah, I don't know if it was the preseason of that year, but I'm pretty sure that was the preseason where Andrew Luck abruptly retired. So I don't think they were, saying, okay, Jacoby Brissett's our starter. I think, okay, he's going to be our backup to Andrew Luck. And then Andrew Luck, right before the season, was like, yeah, I'm done. So I think, again, I would say, and against when he was playing for the Cleveland Browns, I mentioned it in my run. And by the way, he went 7-8 with Indy, not that first year, but in 2019, he went 7-8.
That's for the year they made him the starter. Right?
But again, 7-8 is not bad for a team. Again, are you saying they were built to win? I
didn't say that. I don't know what they had.
They're still trying to get over the Andrew Luck thing, and I think with Daniel Jones, they're making moves like all of a sudden he's going to be their new QB1. So they finally found their next Andrew Luck in Daniel Jones, where he could be a long-term starter. And I think ultimately, think about this, and I can't believe this is a legitimate thing. Jacoby Brissett has the NFL record in interception percentage, the lowest of all time. I guess he is a qualifier for lowest interception
He
percentage
must just
ever.
barely qualify on that one.
I think you can't give him the New England thing. He's played fine. Is he a starting caliber quarterback? Is he among the 32?
You're voting for Murray to be traded. Who's going to want him?
Saints need a quarterback. Jets need a quarterback. Raiders need a quarterback. Just looking at all the bad teams that need quarterbacks.
I think the Raiders will stick with Geno another year, given all the money they gave him.
Well, you thought they should get Shador in the draft.
They could have had him. Every team could have had him 4 times.
True.
Right? He didn't go till the 5th round.
I'm trying to think as well. Giants have a quarterback. Yeah, really, it's the it's the Raiders. It's the Browns, although they have Dylan Gabriel and Shador Sanders, although they apparently just don't like Shador Sanders. Maybe Pittsburgh of the future.
Maybe. It depends on what Aaron Rodgers does.
Jets, Dolphins.
He's playing well.
Dolphins with Mike McDaniel.
The Jets would be crazy enough to pick him up.
Do a Tua Kyler Murray trade swap 1-for-1?
No, I don't think so.
Who would say no in that case? Miami or because they're both
the Cardinals would because of Tua's contract and how poorly he's played. Right, his contract's bigger than Murray's.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And longer.
It's just about. Do you think it's all on Tua? Is it a bad offense? Is it Chris Greer?
Maybe the Saints.
They got Tyler Shuck. I don't know. Are you sure they're gonna?
He played pretty bad. He didn't play well in his first game.
Well, it was against the Rams.
Yeah.
There has to be some sort of grace.
Well, he's going to play the rest of the season, so we'll see.
We saw Spencer Rattler win one game, and it was barely. It was against the New York Giants.
1-12, I think he is. Yeah,
right? They gave him 13 games. Tyler Shuck in his first start got crushed by the Rams. And that defense with Jared Verse and all of them.
Yeah, well, his coach said he didn't. Kellen Moore said he didn't think he played that poorly. He said he played well.
I thought he played all right. Again, he didn't. He didn't have
many chances. They only had 51 plays in the game.
Yeah, well, they had 18 minutes of play time or something like that.
That's terrible.
The Rams just
dominated the game.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. All right, coming up, we got our Week 10 picks. It's crazy. We're already past the midway point of the NFL season. It's an interesting game. We don't got to worry about the Chiefs and their penalties or worry about, Patrick Mahomes. None of that. They're on a bye week this week. But yeah, Week 10. We're going to make all our picks and predictions. We start off hot. Harvey Hot Hand. Rough week. Rough week.
Did you win any?
We won one.
One.
And on the bonus ones, because I do include some of the bonus ones, because unless I hit stop streaming, whatever team we talk about that I say, I have this as well, that counts. 3-5.
Oh.
3-5.
Okay.
It's been a rough year, but we still have a winning record, so we're gonna continue that. But yeah, we'll break that down right after this 30-second break.
Whether you're just discovering your voice or taking your show to the next level, you know what the world needs to hear. All you have to do is say it. With Spotify, set up your podcast. Your food podcast. Your mindfulness podcast. Your never thought you'd get this far podcast. And watch those sparks fly.
I put a picture of the comment.
Drop the episode anywhere people listen. And find out who they're cooking with. Where they're finding inner balance. And why they love your show. You're already a creator. Now you can create, connect, and get paid for your passion with one single free tool. Spotify for podcasters. Talk where the world listens.
Hi, welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. It's so great to have you here on this Friday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into the remaining topics of today's show, which is our weekly picks. Every single week throughout the NFL season, we make our picks and predictions for what teams are going to win, what teams are going to cover the point spread, who are the upsets going to be. We break it all down. So let's begin with my first picks. We had a pretty decent week. I finally beat you in a week, which always feels good in the win-loss. I'm finally gaining ground, although it would be very difficult this week to gain some ground. We had 10-4 last week, 8-6 on the point spread. We currently have an 83-52 win-loss record, and we're about 500, a little bit above 500 based on the math in the point spread. So let's begin. We won last night easily. I just think with the amount of 1-point wins that the Broncos have had in close games, it was crazy to believe, but yeah, I did pick the Raiders, especially off that, should have been tie at the very least. Last week for the Raiders, 30-29 loss to the Jaguars. So I thought the Broncos wouldn't cover, the Raiders would, and ended up being the case with just two pitiful offenses and actually some great defensive performances. Shocking from the Raiders side. But let's go to the next one. We're going to Berlin, back overseas for some international games. 9:30 a.m. Wake up nice and early for the Falcons at the Colts. Give me the Colts here. It was 6.5. Some people had it 5.5. They have Sauce Gardner now, which is obviously big. But here's the big one, though. DeForest Buckner on the IR. That's going to be a rough one. However, he is actually not their best run stopper this season. It's actually, I forget the name, but he's not the number one guy. So are they going to lose? Yeah, they're going to lose, obviously, some production. But ultimately, the way the Falcons have lost is because they don't run the football effectively. When you have sub 100 yards, I think they have 4 losses with under 100 yards. So they have to figure that out. And they're going up against a Colts team that's number 4 in run defense. So if they're able to do that, and I think that normally the saying is good teams, when you get embarrassed one week, the following week you come out strong. And I think we'll see the exact same thing here with the Indianapolis Colts. Get back on track against a really good pass defense, but a relatively poor running defense. Jonathan Taylor will have a day. Give me the Colts to cover and win. They cover the minus 6.5 point spread and win in Berlin. Next one, Jaguars at the Texans. I got the Texans in an upset here. I'm believing in Davis Mills, but I believe in that defense more because, as we just heard right before the show, Brian Thomas will be out for this game. And with Travis Hunter already on IR, we'll see Parker Washington as really the number one threat for the Texans. And we just saw a Texans defense this entire season just be absolutely dominant and not allow many teams to put up points. And I think that'll be the same thing here. I think the Texans defense will lead them to victory, even on a piss-poor offense, as we just saw with what the Denver Broncos have done the last 2 weeks and really large parts of the season. So I think it'll be a similar thing here. I think the Texans will have just a good enough offense to pull out this upset victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's go Saints at Panthers. I think the Panthers have been great this season. They've already tied last year's win total with significantly fewer points allowed. I mean, last year they set the record for most points allowed in a singular season in NFL history, and this season their defense has been much improved. And I think ultimately, what's been their winning formula? Rico Dowdle, 15-plus carries. They're 4-0 in that case. When he has under, they're 0-4. So you got to figure that out. Give Rico Dowdle the ball more. I think he'll come out big here. The Saints, they're just a bad team. Tyler Shuck at quarterback. He didn't play all that great. Their defense isn't great. Chris Olave's not getting, the reps that he desperately needs. And Alvin Kamara looks all of his age right now. I have both on my fantasy team, so it's been rough out here for me. But I think ultimately Rico Dowdle will lead the Panthers to the promised land here. Give me the Panthers in a big-time win. They cover the minus 5.5 point spread. The next one is the Bills at the Dolphins. Give me the Bills here. Now, the Dolphins, I don't know what to do with them because they play close to the Bills. They beat the Jets. They got obliterated by the Cleveland Browns. Then they lose to the Falcons, or they beat the Falcons, excuse me. It's been a very, very strange season, but I think ultimately history will repeat itself. The 9.5 is a lot of points. And did the Bills put all of their, push all the cards to the middle of the table and play the best we'll see all season against the Kansas City Chiefs last week? I hope not. But ultimately, I do think the Bills are a significantly better team. They have the better defense. James Cook's all good to go. The offensive line, I want to see it a little bit better for the Buffalo Bills. And Josh Allen, he played very well last week. I expect that to continue. So give me the Bills in a big-time victory in Miami. Bills cover the 9.5 as well. Next one, Giants at the Bears here. Give me the Bears. They just had a big-time win over the Cincinnati Bengals last week in a major comeback. Colson Loveland, 58 yards on a Jordan Battle push, not even attempted tackle on Colson Loveland, and I think that'll continue. Monungai had a great game, and against the Giants' poor rush defense, I think Monungai will have another great game, and we'll see if DeAndre Swift's back. He was out for personal reasons last week. We'll see if he's back for this one. Didn't practice really all week, so he's questionable to go for this game, but I don't think it matters. I think Monungai will have another great game against a very, very poor Giants defense, and supposedly WFAN personality said that Brian Daboll was going to get fired after the Denver Broncos collapse. Why fire the guy that has his quarterback operating at a very high level and not the defensive coordinator that keeps giving up a bunch of points? And let Christian McCaffrey have 33 touches and be extremely effective, and Mac Jones look really good. I think the Giants have it slightly backwards here, but in this game, I do think the Bears are the better team. They're the better built team. They're the better run team. So give me the Chicago Bears to win and cover the minus 4.5. Our next one is the Browns at the Jets. And the only reason why I'm actually taking the Browns here is because Myles Garrett is going to wreak havoc. Absolutely, I think he'll wreak havoc. And plus, the Jets have no defense. They benched their starting linebacker in Quincy Williams. They traded Quinnen Williams, their defensive tackle, who, by the way, you thought, aging guy, 28 years old. He is the number one defender in run stops so far in the NFL this season. So he's having a great year in stopping the run, which could have been used for Judkins and Dylan Sampson in this one. I just think right now you lose Sauce Gardner as well, so Brandon Stevens is your cornerback one. It's going to be a rough week out there for the Jets defense, I think, even though they were kind of getting back into rhythm with one hiccup against the Cincinnati Bengals. And in this one, I'm not saying it's going to be, a shootout, and Justin Fields did play well last time we saw him, but ultimately, I don't think it'll matter. I think Dylan Gabriel and this offense will do just enough, and the defense will take over, giving the Browns a big-time win in New York, and we'll hear, obviously, more boos, and we could see, depending on how the first half goes, another Tyrod Taylor sighting. Let's go. New England at Tampa Bay. I had New England all week, and then the news came out that Kayshon Boutte, who is their number one wide receiver threat, is out for this week, as well as Ramondre Stevenson, although I'm a bigger fan of Travion Henderson. And I just think ultimately the defense is going to be really key here, because also Bucky Irving is down for this game, which is obviously huge. But I think ultimately it'll be, and Christian Gonzalez is also healthy, which is obviously big for New England. I just think ultimately this will come down to who do have the bigger playmakers, and I will take Emeka Ibuka over every single one of the Patriots receivers. Stephon Diggs, any one of them. Ibuka is just an incredible receiver this season. I think, with Baker Mayfield and his repertoire and all of what he does, the clutch king, as I labeled him earlier on this season, I just think he'll be able to get it done. And I only get a 2.5, so a game-winning field goal, game-winning field goal gets me the 2.5. I'll take it all day. The Patriots have been great on the road. They're 4-0. I just think going up against Baker Mayfield without Ramondre Stevenson, and especially what we saw with that New England offense once Kayshon Boutte went down against Atlanta, the offense dried up. Their deep threat was gone. I think we'll see a similar thing where the deep ball just isn't there. Demario Douglas may have a couple good catches, but Kayshon Boutte this season has been their number one deep ball threat, and he's out for this game, so give me the Bucs in a field goal victory over the New England Patriots. The next one is the Ravens at the Minnesota Vikings. What do we make of the Vikings? Great defensive performance against the Lions. J.J. McCarthy had a great first quarter, but we've only seen 2 out of 12 good quarters from J.J. McCarthy. Going up against Lamar Jackson, who dominates the NFC. I can't believe this is only 4.5, but I'm going to eat that up all day. Give me the Ravens where their defense is playing better. Lamar came back last week and looked like he never left in the first place. Give me Lamar Jackson and the Ravens in a dominant victory over the Minnesota Vikings. Next one, Cardinals at Seahawks. I was tempted to put Cardinals plus 6.5, but I just think that the Seahawks defense is getting healthy with Sam Darnold being at the top of his game right now, and also who's going to stop JSN. And here's the big one on why I actually flipped it. I did have Cardinals plus 6.5. Their number one quarterback, Will Johnson, will be out for this game. So who's going to eat up on, and also Mac Wilson, a great pass rusher for them, he'll also be out for this game. And also a couple offensive linemen are out or questionable. So The Cardinals, they're dealing with a couple injuries and some big ones in key spots. So I think JSN and Sam Darnold, like I said earlier this year, that connection feeds family. So I'm going to take Sam Darnold here and the Seahawks to pretty dominantly defeat the Arizona Cardinals, and they cover the 6.5 point spread. Next one, Rams at the 49ers. I had 49ers plus 4.5, but then I realized, you know what? Something's off about this one. It's a revenge game. It's a revenge spot for Sean McVay and the Los Angeles Rams, because they lost to Mac Jones the last time these teams played. I believe it was on Thursday Night Football, and the Rams were big-time favorites. And Mac Jones led a comeback victory against them and beat them in overtime. And also they had some fumble issues as well that obviously didn't help in favor of the Rams. And I think this one, with Puka Nacua back and healthy, with Devontae Adams, with Kyron Williams, with this offense finally fully engaged and clicking in all cylinders, and Matt Stafford, if he's not, top 3 in MVP conversation, he deserves his spot. He has 21 touchdowns this season and is playing at an all-time level, and the defense has been great all year. So I think this is a rough spot for Mac, especially the offensive line. In run blocking's not great. Mac Jones looks nervous in the pocket when he gets pressured. He's not great under pressure. I think the Rams will be able to get to Mac Jones, fill up that interior of the offensive line, and dominate him from interior pressure. Give me the Rams in a big-time victory. They cover the minus 4.5 point spread. Next one, Lions at Commanders. I hinted at this earlier on in the show. Lions got embarrassed last week by J.J. McCarthy and the Minnesota Vikings. Jared Goff looked uncomfortable in the pocket. And so I think right now this is a big-time comeback spot, especially with Jaden Daniels out. I think this will be a big spot for the Lions to really assert themselves again, and especially with the Packers. Their loss to the Carolina Panthers last week, and I have them losing to the Philadelphia Eagles. There's an opportunity for the Lions to solidify themselves in the NFC North, and I think they will get a big-time victory here over the Commanders. You believe the Commanders aren't a legit contender, and I think with Jaden Daniels being banged up all year, that's basically a done deal. This season looks to be essentially over. So I will take the Lions in a big-time victory. They do cover the -8.5 in Washington. All right, next one. Steelers, +2.5 over the Chargers. Give it to me all day. I kind of agree with you. I was thinking Chargers, but I realized you're talking about the pass rush last week and how they were celebrating with an anniversary of their Super Bowl or whatever the case may be. Maybe their defense is back, and especially with a banged-up Chargers offensive line. What are they, on their fifth-string offensive lineman now? I mean, it's utterly ridiculous. Nobody's really that healthy on the Chargers right now, and that offensive line is going to absolutely break down if the Steelers play the exact same way. And here's the shocker. The Colts offensive line was number 1 in the NFL and healthy. You're going up against a Chargers offensive line, which some of their players are rated bottom 3 in blocking and also are also banged up. So I think the Steelers, they'll absolutely feast. And against the spread, Mike Tomlin is, 64 wins against the spread. So I think it'll be utterly ridiculous. I give the Steelers here, big-time victory in L.A. And I think right now, it's going to be a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers fans out there. I think they believe in this team again after some shaky games here and there, and especially having that losing streak. Last week was a statement win for them, and I think that'll continue in Week 10. And finally, Monday Night Football. How the hell are the Packers favored after losing to the Carolina Panthers? This was my easiest pick. I picked this at the start of the week. I had this instantly. I'm shocked. And this is actually 1.5. Some sportsbooks had it 1.5, and then it fell to 2.5. Not sure what people are looking at here. I think right now the Green Bay Packers, they play up to some teams, and they definitely play down to most teams. So I think the way the Eagles are, they're getting into rhythm again. A.J. Brown should be back and healthy. I think this is a pretty easy pick for me. I'm taking the Eagles in an upset victory. To me, that doesn't even feel like an upset. And by the way, we saw this last year in Sao Paulo, Week 1. We saw the Eagles. Their defense came up big, especially in the red zone. Jalen Hurts, 2 early interceptions. And in the red zone, the Packers could only kick field goals. This defense is, getting there again. They added Jalen Phillips, at the trade deadline. He said it was the best thing to ever happen to him. I mean, this team, the vibes are a bit off with A.J. Brown, but I think, if you win games, only A.J. Brown is the one who cares. Nobody else cares because you're putting W's in the win column. So give me the Eagles. Technically, it's an upset. I don't believe it is. And those are my picks for Week 10.
Okay, very interesting. And very similar to mine.
Yeah.
In fact, there's only one that we differ on, I think. The Patriots.
Yeah. Point spread-wise, a couple that are different.
The point spreads.
All right. There you go.
Okay, so last night we talked about, I managed to get it right and get the point spread too. So I'm happy about that. But starting off in Berlin, the Colts and the Falcons. I like the Colts to rebound just as you did. And I like the number 1 scoring offense versus the number 1 passing defense. Generally, the number 1 scoring offense wins 10 out of the 11 meetings. So I think that that's going to happen again. And it will be Taylor and Jones beating up on the Falcons defense. I don't have them covering the 6.5 point spread, though, because Atlanta is on a 3-game losing streak, and they've only won 3 games. So this is a must-win for them. They really need this game. And I don't think they're good enough to beat the Colts, but I think they're good enough to be close. So I don't have the Colts covering the point spread. Colts' main advantage is Taylor, right, versus a very vulnerable run defense in the Falcons, and they have Sauce Gardner now. That should help in the pass defense. They'll need him against Drake London, who had a career game against the Patriots last week. Morris is in consecutive games away from home is a 1-3 record, -73. Point differential on that, losing 2 of those games by 30 points twice. So I don't see the Falcons being able to beat the Colts, but I do think it'll be a close game. Moving on to the Falcons and the Texans. I agree with you that the Texans are going to find a way to pull us out. I don't trust Trevor Lawrence and the Jags' inconsistent attack. hold up against the Texans defense, which is probably the best in the league now. Lawrence is averaging less than 7 yards per throw. They picked up Jacoby Myers, but they've lost all their other receivers are out, and Myers will be covered by Stingley, who is probably the best corner in the league. So, and Myers isn't used to working with Trevor Lawrence. There's no chemistry there yet, so there's no receivers really for the Jags this week. Stroud is out, right? So that's an issue. When Mills is in, Mills has a lot of experience playing quarterback, and as you say, I don't think the Jags are going to score many points, if any. So all they got to do is get a touchdown or field goal, maybe a couple of field goals, and they have a reasonably good chance to win. The Jags did beat the Texans 17-10 in Week 3, but the defense has suffered, and the Texans' defense has gotten better. I mean, the Jags' defense was unbelievable there in the beginning, taking all the turnovers that they were getting, but they have been very quiet the last few weeks, and it shows in their record. It's a must-win, as I say, for Houston. They're currently 3-5. The Jaguars 5-3, and the Colts 7-2 in that division. So, time for Houston to step up and win a game, and I think they will find a way to do it against the Jaguars. Okay, moving on to the Saints and the Panthers. As with you, I like the Panthers. Rico Dowdle running the ball more than 15 times at 4-0. The Panthers have won 4-5 on the strength of their running game and their defense. And I think that somebody on the defensive side there, their defensive coordinator, ought to get some kind of award. I mean, last year they had the worst defense in the league, and now they're very competitive and playing well with 6 new starters on the defense. Dowdle in 3 starts, averaging 173 rushing yards and 205 yards in total from scrimmage. He's awesome. Give him the ball. The Saints allowing the 6th most rushing yards to running backs. So this is a simple formula. Hand the ball off to Rico Dowdle. Bryce Young led a 9-play, 40-yard drive to set up the field goal that beat the Packers last week. So he's playing okay, and I like the way they're playing him. Don't make him the guy that's got to do something, really. Make him more of a game manager. Leverage the running game, and that's leading to wins. So I think that's the formula they're going to use. The Saints are starting Tyler Shook again, who led the offense that had 10 points and 224 yards last week, but they're playing against the Rams, so might have a little better luck against the Panthers. But also the Saints traded Rashid Shaheed, who's one of their best receivers, to the Seahawks just before the trade deadline. So all they have is Olave now out there on wide receiver for Shuck to throw to. So I don't think the Saints are going to win this game. I like the Panthers and the points. The Bills versus the Dolphins. The Bills have a 16-2 record against Miami and Sean McDermott's tenure, and beat them earlier in the year. The Dolphins just fired their GM. The Bills just beat the Chiefs. Cook has a foot ankle injury, and may not play.
He's playing.
He is going to play. Okay, so that's even better. Allen's passing game has been great, and it was great against the Chiefs. So he can pick up the slack if Cook can't play, but you're telling me Cook's going to play, so that's even better for them. Miami's secondary is injury-riddled and overmatched by Allen. I think the Bills win and cover the 9.5 pretty easily. Moving on to the Giants at the Bears. I agree with everything you said about the Bears, and one extra thing. Their coaching is better than the Giants.
Ooh, I don't agree with that.
Ben Johnson's showing that he can get it done. He's got that offense playing much better, and Caleb Williams playing better. Since the Eagles win, the Giants have lost 3, giving up 33 points and 140-plus yards rushing per game. The Bears are the NFL's second-ranked rushing offense since Week 6, which is pretty surprising. Actually, they're number 1 since Week 6, which is pretty surprising given how poorly they were earlier in the season. The Bears' defense ranks near the bottom in points per game at 28.4 and yards per game at 26. The Bears are best in turnovers with 19. So I just think that in this game, Ben Johnson's got this offensive scheme that's going to beat the Giants' defense, which is playing very poorly. Moving on to the Browns at the Jets. And I'll take the Browns and the points here, -1.5. The Jets are bottom 17 in EPA on both sides of the ball. They just traded Williams and Gardner, two of their best defensive players, and the defense hasn't been that great this year. It was just starting to play better, and now they've gotten rid of two all-pro players. Cleveland's defense continues to play well. It's one of the best in the league. The Jets won't get 500 yards against the Browns defense the way they did against the Bengals. So I like the Browns. I feel bad for their quarterback. Fields, right. He's going to have a tough day against the Browns defense. Patriots at Bucs. So you can see I'm a Patriots fan. I got the Patriots sweatshirt on here tonight. I like them to beat the Bucs. The teams, to me, seem pretty evenly matched. Baker Mayfield's play has not been as good as it was early in the season in the last couple of games. The Bucs are far from being at full strength. May had 200 yards passing per game and a rating of over 100 or better in 8 straight games. That's tied for the best in NFL history. The Pats defense has not allowed a running back to gain 50 yards this season. That's the longest streak by any team to start the season in the Super Bowl era. The Patriots are looking good. As Vrabel says, we learn from winning, not from losing. So they're on a roll. They've won 6 in a row. I think it's going to be very hard. I think this game will be very close. But I'm counting on the Patriots. I got my sweatshirt on, as I said, to find a way to pull it out. Ravens at Vikings. I like the Ravens as well as you. I think it'll be closer than you think. But I do think I like the 4.5 points. It's a must-win for the Ravens, too. I mean, with they're 2 games behind the Steelers now, and they started off so poorly. They've got to win these games, and they have a nice setup here where they can run the table for a while. So I think this is a must-win for them. I think it'll be close because the Vikings have a very good defense. And McCarthy, he's gotten a few games under his belt now. Maybe he plays a little better. He played okay against the Lions, found a way to beat the Lions. We never thought that was going to happen. And the Vikings surprised Detroit last week with the defense dominating up front and McCarthy making enough plays to secure the win. The Ravens defense much improved since week 6, allowing only 13 points per game. That's second in the NFL during that span. They only have 11 sacks, though. The Vikings got pressure on Goff, but Lamar is a different animal out there. He's much more mobile. They're going to have a very hard time catching him. Can the Vikings' physical blitz, physicality and blitz-heavy defense stuff the Ravens' passing game? Maybe, but Lamar can scramble and they also have Henry. So I just think they have too much for the Vikings, and that's a must-win game for them. Cardinals at Seahawks. I think this one's going to be close. You took the Seahawks and the points. I'm saying that the Seahawks win but not cover. The Seahawks beat the Commanders easily. The Cardinals managed to beat the Cowboys and they play every team close. The first 7 games decided by 1 score. 5 losses by the Cardinals has combined 13 points. We've talked about that. It's hard to believe. Jacoby Myers has given them a spark to the passing game for the last 3 games. And they play at least 4 more. He's going to play at least 4 more with Murray on the injured reserve. Seattle has a better passing game with Darnold and SB. And now they have Rashid Shaheed, too, reunited with Kubiak, who coached him when he was at the Saints. Seattle has a stronger defense. I think Seattle's they also won in week 4, and the Cardinals haven't been able to beat the Seahawks for years now. So I think Seattle's got it going for them, and they're playing at home. The Rams -4.5 the 49ers. I agree with you. It's a revenge game for the Rams, who should have won the first one. The 49ers, as you mentioned and I'm mentioning now, won that first one. The last 5 matchups have been decided by 1 score or less, so it should be a good game. The Rams are better and healthier, and they have one of the best quarterbacks now in Stafford's been playing great. The defense ranks 2nd in EPA per play. 49ers pass rushers are all injured and are also short on playmakers as well. So I just don't see how they can win this game. The Lions -7.5 versus the Commanders. The Lions just do not win do not lose back-to-back games. They were surprised by the Vikings, embarrassed by the Vikings. Dan Campbell said, I didn't have the team ready to play. He put it on his back. He said we found every way to lose that game. I don't think that's going to be the case here. The Commanders played poorly against the Seahawks, giving up 31 points in the first half. Daniels is out, replaced by Mariota. Detroit hasn't dropped back-to-back games in 3 seasons, as I mentioned. They tend to punish teams after a loss, too, so it could get ugly there for the Commanders. The Lions' offensive line is banged up, which may explain the poor performance against the Vikings, but the Vikings' defense is better than the Commanders was. So I think that the Lions are going to win this one pretty easily. Then the Steelers to the Chargers. I agree with you. The Chargers too banged up on the offensive line. It's a mess again. They did get some of those players back. They're all out again. Alt and Slater, the 2 tackles, are done for the year now. And the status of the tackle Hart and the guard Becton is uncertain for Sunday. They picked up Trevor Penning in a trade. I never heard of him, so I'm not sure how good he could be. Herbert already one of the most pressured quarterbacks in the league with 28 sacks, 3rd most, 80 hits, which is the most. The Steelers D, 27 sacks, 3rd, 66 hits of the quarterback is 2nd. They have the most expensive defense, and they showed it last week, motivated by the 20th anniversary of the Steelers Super Bowl win, with a lot of defensive players there cheering them on. I think they take a spark from that, and it continues on into this game. The Steelers' offense is improving. Rodgers a 95-plus passer rating in each of his last 6 games. The run game still needs to improve. The Chargers' defense is 6th in yards allowed, 3rd against the pass, 2nd in passer rating allowed. So the defense is good. I think it'll be a close game, but I agree with you. I think the Steelers find a way to win it. Eagles at the Packers. I agree with you. I don't understand why the Packers are favored in this game. The Eagles have not lost coming off a bye under the Sirianni era. The running game may be back with 276 yards in the last game. The Packers' run defense allowed 5 yards per carry the last 2 weeks. The Packers' tight end Kraft is out for the year with an ACL. The Packers are inconsistent and played poorly against the Panthers last week, and you don't know what you're going to get with them, even though they have a good record. I think the Eagles beat them. Those are my picks.
Very nice. All right. It is time now for my favorite topic of the show. It's called the Harvey Hot Hand. For those who don't know what the Harvey Hot Hand is, it is where I pick the 5 teams, maybe more, sometimes 6, sometimes 7, sometimes 8, of teams that you should bet on if you are sports betting. We had a losing week last week. We ended the streak of, I think, 3 or 4 straight weeks of a winning record. But I think some of these games, I think it's time that we get back in the winning record, in the winning column for each week. So let's begin with the first pick of Week 10's Harvey Hot Hand, which is
Lions at Commanders.
Give me the Lions here. I think right now Detroit just got embarrassed by the Minnesota Vikings last week. And really, the first quarter, J.J. McCarthy took over and the defense kind of cruised the rest of the way. So the Lions didn't really have an opportunity to dominate. But in this one, I do think they'll dominate, especially with Marcus Mariota being the starter and going up against a very, very poor defense. And since Week 6, the Commanders' defense, I have it here, 31st in points per game allowed, 31st in yards per game allowed, 31st in yards per play allowed, 31st in opponent passer rating. I mean, they've done really nothing. Their defense has been absolutely atrocious. So I think ultimately this will be a time for Jared Goff and this Lions team to absolutely dominate. And plus, you could definitely bank on Marcus Mariota making a couple mistakes here and there, and I think really that'll be an opportunity for the Lions to capitalize here, get back in the win column here. They haven't lost back-to-back games since October of 2022, so I think it's an opportunity for the Lions to bounce back in a big-time way here. Giving the Lions in a 30-21 victory. They cover the 8.5 point spread. Let's go to the next one.
Falcons at Colts.
Give me the Colts here. This is a risky one, especially what we saw last week, but I think that'll change because good teams that get embarrassed one week normally bounce back and really dominate the following week. And I think right now the way the Colts are going to win is how most teams have beaten the Falcons. When they don't run for 100 or more yards, they lost 5 out of the last 9 games. They have. 4 out of the 5 losses has been under 100 yards, and the Colts have allowed rushers only 4 out of 9 games to rush for more than 100 yards, and in that span, they're 4-1 when they allow less than 100 yards rushing. So I think the Colts will dominate here. This will be a Jonathan Taylor game because the Falcons' running defense isn't that great. Their pass defense is great, and especially deep ball passing, but I think that ultimately, with some of the players out, Leonard Floyd out, I think ultimately the pass rush won't be that bad for Daniel Jones to deal with, and I think Jonathan Taylor will be really the number one key piece here. So given the Colts to cover the 6.5, they win 28-20 in Berlin.
Giants at Bears.
This one, give me the Bears here. I think the Giants right now, they're going to be down Paulson Adebo, JMS. They're going to be down Graham Ganoso. Young Wei Koo will be their kicker for this game. Jermaine Illuminor, he was limited in practice. Javon Holland was limited in practice. So they're dealing with a number of injuries this week. And plus, Shane Bowen's defense, everybody's blaming Brian Daboll. He doesn't call defense. That's Shane Bowen. What his job is to run the offense and help out the offense. And him with Jackson Dart, they've looked really, really good. And Jackson Dart has looked like their next franchise guy, and I think that's large part due to Brian Daboll, so I don't know why he'd fire him. But yeah, the Giants right now, they're 31st against the run, and I think Monungai coming off of a great game last week against a very bad Bengals defense. I think it'll be the same thing here. Another opportunity for him to eat. I do think Monungai has a great game, and we'll see if DeAndre Swift's back. He hasn't practiced all week. He'll be questionable for this game. I don't expect him to go, but with Kyle Monungai having a great week like he did last year, I'll take the Bears to have a big-time victory. They win 24-17. They cover the -4.5 point spread.
Ravens at Vikings.
For the Ravens here, I just think ultimately Lamar dominates the NFC so far. His record is 24-3. His team averages 29.1 points per game. He has basically 402 total yards per game. He has a 61 touchdown to 9 interception ratio against the NFC, and he has a 107.9 passer rating. He dominates the NFC through and through. What we've seen from J.J. McCarthy is he's had 2 good quarters out of 12 qualified quarters. I mean, he hasn't really done that much. He's not really solidified himself as the guy. And I feel like the Vikings have done a lot to really preserve the image of, no, JJ's our guy. I have yet to really see it. He's had 2 good quarters out of 12, and I just think right now the Vikings had a good defense against the Lions. I think that caught him off guard. I think right now, I think the Ravens, Lamar has come back like he never left, and especially because the Ravens defense is not giving up 35 points a game. I think that's a large part of it. Since making that Oweh trade, they've dominated. They average about 13 points per game. So I just think that this is a great spot for Lamar to be in. Again, it's another bad spot for J.J. McCarthy. I just think it's going to be slightly worse than going up against the Lions, and especially because if you take a look at the passer ratings allowed for the Vikings defense the last 5 weeks, Rodgers, 119.7. Dylan Gabriel had a 94.3 passer rating. Jalen Hurts was perfect against them. Herbert, 122.8. Goff, 108.4. So they do really, really poorly in the passing game. And I think with Lamar, I mean, he dominates bad defenses, especially bad pass defenses. You know, he could stay in the pocket, operate the pocket nicely. I think we'll see a 135-plus passer rating game from Lamar. He gets a big-time win. I'll give the Ravens the win, 31-24. They cover the -4.5 points. But finally,
Jaguars at Texans.
Even the Texans here in the upset. C.J. Stroud's out for this one, so it's going to be rough. Davis Mills is in there, but ultimately your number one threat in Brian Thomas, he'll also be out for this game. So I think it'll be a defensive masterpiece. And I think what we've seen over the last couple weeks with the Jaguars is you play up against a mediocre defense at best. You play against a really, really bad one in Las Vegas, and you put up 30 points. But when you don't, 12 points against Seattle, 7 points against the Rams. We'll see a similar performance. You already put up 17, and you did beat the Houston Texans team, but that was at the very beginning of the season where their offense was still trying to figure things out. So I think, with this one, Davis Mills, an experienced quarterback, they're starting to figure things out. They're relatively healthy. I want to see what this Texans team could do with, Davis Mills at the helm, and I think they had an opportunity. They had a few opportunities to come out on top over the Denver Broncos, but the Broncos defense is just so good, and I don't think they're on the same level as the Jacksonville Jaguars defense, because the Denver Broncos, they're about to, they're already beyond the point of setting the Bears sack record. So opportunity here for the Houston Texans to dominate. They're at home. They're underdogs at home. Give me the Texans in a very, very, very low-scoring game. Texans win, and the upset the Jaguars. They obviously cover the +1.5. They win 17-14, and those are my picks for Week 10's Harvey Hot Hand. And as always, you judge my picks and tell me which ones you think would be better bets for me to do for this week.
Sheet here. I'm a little worried about the last one there. The Texans
It's
beat the
close.
Jaguars, given that Stroud is out, right? And the Jaguars have been kind of up and down. Trevor Lawrence can run the ball too, but he has no receivers. So, and the defense is kind of slacked off, and Texans defense, as I mentioned before, is really kind of taken off. So, I guess it's okay. I think I might have substituted the Rams against San Francisco.
Well, then again, it's a divisional game. Mac Jones already beat him once.
Yeah, but the revenge factor, right?
Well,
The
this is also a revenge.
factor.
This is a revenge factor for the Texans. They lost to him third game of the year.
True, but I think it's more a revenge factor for the Rams, right?
Fair. Texans are also at home.
Yeah. I think the Ravens against the Vikings could be closer than you think here.
Well,
I'm not sure.
me and you both have him
about the
covering, so it can't be that
Yeah,
close.
I know, but I
They just gotta win by
worry
5.
about that one. I worry about that one. But I don't know who I'd substitute there. Maybe the Browns against the Jets, right? The Jets just got rid of their two
That's a
best
bottom
defensive
feeder
play.
pick, though. That's a bottom feeder.
Yeah, but who cares? You're just trying to win, right?
Now I'm trying to cover.
I know, but they cover. I think the Browns will cover against the Jets. So that one I might have substituted. The others look.
I think I have that one bet. I just didn't have it in my Harvey Hot Hand. So technically, I already did bet that. I do have a bunch of bonus picks. I have like 6 bonus picks that I have.
So
for
you
this
have
week.
that one?
It's a big betting week for me.
I see. Okay.
I think for some of my bets, I have Seahawks. I bet Rams. I bet Lions. I bet Texans. I bet Colts. I bet Bills.
Saints against the Panthers.
That one's a good one.
That one, I don't know. The Panthers, you can't trust them. If they just keep handing the ball off to Dowdle, I think that's the secret.
They're very good at home.
Yeah. So anyway, good luck.
Thanks. Try to get back in the winning column.
Yeah.
That does wrap it up for today's episode of the Harvey Hot Hand. We thank you for the constant support as always. We'll be back on Tuesday to recap everything that happened in Week 10. And obviously, hopefully Amazon gets a good game that we could cover on Tuesday's show because they've been screwed over since they made that deal. Not many good Thursday night games. I mean, really, you
Friday's
think about
show.
Tuesday's show. We cover Thursday's game on Tuesday if it's good. We can't cover Thursday's game on Friday unless we're doing the recap of it. When we talk about the game.
Oh, in terms of the pick. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll be back Tuesday to cover all of Week 10 or most of Week 10. You'll have your weekly report where we break down a bunch of the games on Sunday. So, obviously, we'll also cover Monday's game between the Eagles and the Packers. So, stay tuned for that. But for this one, my name's Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We have been your hosts of the Harvey Hour. Catch us Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Good night, Grandpa.
Whether you're just discovering your voice or taking your show to the next level, you know what the world needs to hear. All you have to do is say it. With Spotify, set up your podcast. Your food podcast. Your mindfulness podcast. Your never thought you'd get this far podcast. And watch those sparks fly.
I put a picture of the comment.
Drop the episode anywhere people listen. And find out who they're cooking with. Where they're finding inner balance. And why they love your show. You're already a creator. Now you can create, connect, and get paid for your passion with one single free tool. Spotify for podcasters. Talk where the world